Good evening and welcome. Tonight we're going to continue our read through of this book, World Tour. Explore 60 of the world's most amazing places. And tonight we are going to Africa. Let's read about it first. Africa. Africa is the second largest continent and has 54 countries, which is more than any other. The River Nile, the world's longest river, runs through East Africa, heading north toward the Mediterranean Sea in Egypt. Africa is also home to the largest hot desert on Earth, the Sahara. Let's head over there and explore Africa. The second largest continent after Asia, Africa straddles the equator and experiences hot temperatures for most of the year. With sprawling deserts, giant waterfalls, dense rainforests, and tropical islands, Africa is full of extraordinary places to explore. Marvel at the ancient pyramids of Egypt, hike deep into the forests of Rwanda to watch mountain gorillas play, or trek across the golden dunes of the Sahara, the world's largest hot desert. Venturing south, vast grasslands are home to prides of lions and herds of marching elephants, the world's biggest land animals. It is across these grassy plains that immense herds of wildebeest embark on an epic journey each year, the Great Migration. So we're going to start in Algeria, in the Sahara Desert. Algeria is a North African country. Most of its people live near the northern coast, which borders the Mediterranean Sea. Further inland is a large section of the Sahara Desert, the world's largest hot desert. A huge expanse of sand and rock that stretches across North Africa. The Sahara is about the same size as the USA. Surviving the heat. Saharan animals have to cope with the hot, dry conditions. Gazelles have pale coats to reflect the sun. Jerboas live in underground burrows, and camels can go for weeks without water. Creepy crawlies. The desert is also home to ants, lizards, snakes, and dung beetles. These roll the poos of other animals into balls where they lay their eggs. 100 degrees Fahrenheit, the temperature of the desert in the day, but temperatures can drop to near freezing at night. 2.5 million, the number of nomadic or wandering people living in the Sahara. Sirocco wind. Starting in the Sahara, the Sirocco is a hot, dry wind that blows dust across North Africa, sometimes reaching hurricane speeds. Arid Algeria. Around 80% of Algeria is covered by the Sahara Desert. Scrubland. Plants like shrubs and grasses grow roots that reach deep underground in search of buried water, but the driest parts of the desert are completely empty of plant life. Bug swarms. Locusts look similar to grasshoppers, but they can cause huge damage to crops and plants. Locusts move in giant swarms and can travel around 90 miles in a day. Even a small swarm can eat the same amount of food as 35,000 people. Next, we're traveling over to Morocco, to a desert oasis. Morocco is lapped by the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. Farther inland, the Mediterranean landscape meets the sprawling Sahara Desert. Here, water is difficult to find, and a spring called an oasis provides precious water for people and animals amid the hot sand dunes and rocky plains. Scavengers. There are 6 species of vulture living in the Sahara Desert. Vultures feast on scraps of food that other creatures leave behind, like animal carcasses. Fennec fox. These desert foxes have ears that are 6 inches in length. Their supersized ears help them to keep cool during the day and listen for prey at night. Dorcas gazelles. These horned animals are so well adapted to desert life that they don't even need to drink water. They get all the moisture they need from their food. Super stinger. The desert-living deathstalker scorpion is one of the most venomous species of scorpion in the world. 1,000 feet, the height of the tallest sand dunes. Camel caravan. For thousands of years, camels have carried people and goods like tea, salt, cotton, and gold across the desert wilderness. Up to 1,000 camels would walk in a long line called a camel caravan. Oasis. People and animals may travel for many miles to find a rare desert oasis. Desert palms and olive trees grow near these precious pools of water. There may even be the occasional crocodile. Next, we're heading over to Egypt to sail down the River Nile. Egypt is known for its many giant temples and pyramids. These were built thousands of years ago by a civilization that has long since vanished. Most are located on the banks of the River Nile, which runs north to south through the country. This is also where you'll find the capital, Cairo, one of Africa's largest cities. 11. The number of African countries that the River Nile flows through. On the water. People have been relying on the Nile for food and transport for thousands of years. All kinds of boats, from small fishing vessels to giant cruise ships, still use the river today. 4,100 miles, the length of the River Nile, making it the longest river in the world. Wafa el-Nil. Every year, Egyptians celebrate the life-giving power of the Nile during a holiday called Wafa el-Nil. Growing food. Crops like beans, flax, and wheat grow along the River Nile, where the soil is full of nutrients from the river. 95%, the proportion of Egyptian people that live within a couple of miles from the River Nile. The ancient Egyptians built many temples to their gods, including the double temple of Kom-Ombo. Here, people could worship Sobek, the crocodile god, on one side, and Horus, the falcon-headed god, on the other. Over 2,000 years old, the age of the Kom-Ombo temple, with some parts thought to have been built around 187 BCE. Preservation. There are 22 mummified crocodiles on display at the Crocodile Museum next to Kom-Ombo Temple. Dead crocodiles were mummified to honor the crocodile god Sobek. Flooding. In ancient times, the people living on the banks of the Nile relied on the yearly flood. This deposited nutrient-rich silt on the surrounding farmland, helping crops to grow. Over 3,000 years. The length of the ancient Egyptian civilization, which lasted from 3100 to 30 BCE. The Pyramids of Giza. Located just outside the city of Cairo, the Pyramids of Giza are giant limestone structures that were built more than 4,000 years ago as tombs for the ancient Egyptian kings. There are 3 main pyramids, and the largest, the Great Pyramid, is around 460 feet tall. Next, we're going to stay in Egypt and swim in the Red Sea. The Red Sea flows between the continents of Africa and Asia, stretching over 1,200 miles from Suez in Egypt to the Gulf of Aden, where it meets the Arabian Sea. The Red Sea is one of the warmest and saltiest seas in the world, with an abundance of colorful fish and sea creatures. 1,200, the number of fish species living in the Red Sea, and 1 in 10 of them are endemic, which means they're only found here. Over 200, the number of colorful coral species that grow in the Red Sea's crystal clear waters. Red blooms. The Red Sea gets its name from the giant blooms of red-brown algae that occasionally turn its waters a reddish brown. Green turtles. These gentle creatures are one of the largest species of sea turtle. By grazing on plants such as seagrass and algae, they help to keep the marine environment healthy. Green turtles migrate huge distances to lay their eggs, always returning to the beach where they hatched. Lionfish. The stripy red and white body and long spiky fins of a lionfish are a warning sign. These venomous fish can give a nasty sting. Dugongs. Also known as sea cows, dugongs are mammals that swim in sheltered lagoons and warm water. They may live to be up to 70 years old. Next, let's travel down to Tanzania, to the beautiful Serengeti. Tanzania, in the heart of East Africa, is known for its vast areas of wilderness. Grassy plains, dotted with rocky outcrops and flat-topped trees, stretch into the distance. Huge herds of wildlife feed and find shelter in the Serengeti National Park. Grazing animals. Across the grassy plains, Cape buffalo, giraffes, gazelles, elephants, and wildebeest feed on the plentiful grass. Umbrella trees. The grasslands are dotted with trees like the umbrella thorn acacia. This flat-topped tree has a wide canopy, giving it its name. Umbrella trees produce seeds in thick, spiral-shaped pods that curl around the tree's branches. Keeping watch. Big cats such as cheetahs, lions, and caracals stalk their prey, hiding in the long grass, ready to pounce. 50 miles per hour, the speed that a Thompson's gazelle can run, making it one of the fastest land animals. Rainy seasons. The climate is usually warm and dry, but rain arrives in March and again in October. Balloon trips give visitors a bird's-eye view of Africa's wild animals in their natural habitat. 12,000 square miles, the size of the Serengeti National Park. 1 million years, the length of time that the natural environment of the Serengeti has remained unchanged. 6.8 tons, the weight of an African elephant, making it the world's largest land animal. 20 inches, the length of a giraffe's tongue, which it uses to hook onto branches and pull leaves into its mouth. Next, we're going to hop over the border to Kenya, to the Mara River. When the dry season arrives in the Serengeti, herds of wildebeest migrate north in search of food. This epic journey, known as the Great Migration, spans 2 countries, Tanzania and Kenya. The journey is perilous, particularly when the herds have to cross rivers where crocodiles are ready to pounce. 1.5 million, the number of wildebeest that embark on the long journey across the grasslands. Nile crocodiles. Thousands of hungry crocodiles lie in wait for wildebeest when they dare cross the water. Kings of the Savannah. Lions are fierce hunters and top of the Serengeti food chain. They are sociable animals and choose to live together in large groups called prides. When not on the hunt, lions can be found napping under trees, often for around 18 hours each day. After the birth of their calves in March, wildebeest begin migrating north in search of food. They will return after the next rainy season in November, when there's grass to eat again. Speedy cats. Cheetahs are the fastest land animals in the world. They can sprint at speeds of up to 80 miles per hour when chasing down prey. 600 miles, the distance that animals travel during the Great Migration. Giant herds. Hundreds of thousands of zebras and gazelles travel alongside the wildebeest. 500,000, the number of wildebeest calves that are born in spring each year in the Serengeti. Let's head back down to Tanzania to visit Mafia Island. Located off the coast of East Africa, Mafia Island is a tropical paradise of white sand beaches lapped by the Indian Ocean. Shimmering fish dart through clear blue waters, and giant whale sharks swim in the deep. Marine Park. Mafia Island Marine Park was set up in 1995 to protect the precious ocean habitats around the island, as well as the amazing creatures that live there. 400. The number of fish species around Mafia Island, including bright clownfish, slinky octopuses, gliding rays, dolphins, and sharks. 60 centimeters. The size of a baby whale shark when it is born, but it will grow to be the largest fish in the ocean. 40 feet. The size of an adult whale shark. That's around the same length as a bus. Conservation projects. Whale sharks are an endangered species and people are working hard to protect them. Individual sharks can be identified by their unique patterns of spots, so researchers are able to track individual sharks to learn more about them. Spice Island. Mafia Island is known for the rich variety of spices that it produces, including cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, and black pepper. Growing old. Whale sharks can live to be up to 70 years old. Most whale sharks stay close to the island throughout their lives. Let's head to Rwanda to see the Virunga Mountains. Rwanda is a small country in the east of Africa. One of the largest populations of mountain gorillas lives here in the rich green forests of the Virunga Mountains. This chain of extinct volcanoes spans the borders of Rwanda, Uganda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. 1,000. The number of mountain gorillas living in the wild in Africa. The high life. Mountain gorillas live at high altitudes up to 13,000 feet above sea level. Nose print. A gorilla can be recognized by the unique shape and size of its leathery nose. 98%. The amount of DNA that we as humans share with gorillas. It gets bitterly cold in the mountains, so mountain gorillas have a thick coat of fur to keep them warm when the temperature drops and the forest is blanketed in mist. Jungle snakes. Africa is home to some of the most incredible and dangerous snakes in the animal kingdom, and they come in all colors and sizes. The black mamba is feared for its lightning-fast strike, and the Kaboon viper has the longest fangs of any venomous snake. 14,788 feet, the height of the tallest dormant volcano in Rwanda's Volcanoes National Park. Safe place. Around 12 families of mountain gorillas are protected inside Rwanda's Volcanoes National Park. Troop. A group of gorillas is called a troop. At least one silverback or dominant male, several females, and their young live in a troop. Silverback. The whitish hair on the back of a dominant adult male gorilla marks him out as the leader of a group. Let's head down to the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe to visit Victoria Falls. Located on the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, Victoria Falls is one of the world's largest waterfalls. Here, water tumbles down deep chasms cut into the rock. Elephants, buffalo, and the occasional lion can be spotted in the national parks around the falls. Victoria Falls is roughly twice the height of Niagara Falls in the USA and Canada. Giant curtain. At over 1 meter wide at the point where the Zambezi River tumbles over its rocky plateau, the falls creates the biggest curtain of water in the world. Nesting place. The river and falls provide habitats for many different birds, including ibis and bee-eaters. Birds of prey like eagles and falcons soar above the crashing water and nest in the cliffs around the falls. 354 feet, the height of Victoria Falls, creating a tall sheet of crashing water. Moonbow. On a full moon, you may spot a lunar rainbow as moonlight shines through water from the falls. This rare sight can only be seen in a few places on Earth. Bungee jumping. If they dare, visitors can bungee jump off a bridge next to the falls, free-falling an exhilarating 364 feet toward the Zambezi River below. 12 miles. How far away the tumbling clouds of white mist can be seen, giving the falls the local name, the Smoke That Thunders. Boat trips. One of the best ways to see Victoria Falls is by taking a boat along the Zambezi River. That way you can feel the spray of water from the falls. Hippopotamus. Despite their cumbersome size, hippos are surprisingly good swimmers. They live in the Zambezi River and spend around 16 hours each day bathing to keep cool. Hippos can hold their breath for up to 5 minutes. Next, let's go to Namibia and see the Skeleton Coast. In Namibia, in southwest Africa, the mighty Namib Desert meets the sea, creating a long sandy coastline. But these are no ordinary beaches. Rough seas and thick fog have seen hundreds of ships wrecked here. Their remains stick out in the sand like bones, giving the region its name, the Skeleton Coast. 500. The number of shipwrecks that lie stranded along the coastline, with many hidden beneath the sea or sand. 300 miles. The length of the Skeleton Coast, made up of barren beaches and dunes that stretch 25 miles inland. Changing coastline. In 1909, a ship called Edward Bolen was stranded on the Skeleton Coast. The shape of the coastline has changed so much that the shipwreck is now 0.6 miles inland. Thirst quencher. Any plant that survives here has to rely on the daily fog rolling in for water. 300 feet, the height of the golden sand dunes before they plunge into the Atlantic Sea. At the coastline, there is nothing but sea and sand for hundreds of miles around, apart from shipwrecks. Sailors shipwrecked here were a long way from help. Manure mishap. A ship called Otavi was shipwrecked on the Skeleton Coast in 1945, along with its cargo of guano, a fertilizer made from seabird poop. Fur seals. Over 100,000 fur seals live in a single colony on the Skeleton Coast, and all are competing for food and space. It's a noisy, smelly place. Fur seals are strong swimmers. They can dive to 660 feet and hold their breath for up to 7.5 minutes. Desert lions. Namibia is home to rare desert lions that have adapted to the harsh environment by preying on the abundant fur seals. And next, let's head under the ocean to Namibia's coastal waters. With so many shipwrecks along the west coast of Africa, it's the perfect place to go hunting for lost treasure dropped by sunken ships. Namibia has one of the longest coastlines on the west coast of Africa, providing plenty of diving spots for treasure seekers. Trade routes. In the 1600s, ships began sailing between Europe and Asia, as people started buying and selling products around the world. This hazardous journey took sailors all the way around the coast of Africa, where ships were at the mercy of violent storms and pirate attacks. Treasure troves. Trade ships were laden with silk, spices, cotton, and tea to sell back home, as well as gold and silver coins. Finding shelter. Shipwrecks are broken down by buffeting currents. Over time, sea anemones, coral, and fish begin to make their homes in nooks and crannies. These creatures attract predators such as hammerhead sharks, which hunt for prey in the wreckage. Diving for shipwrecks. The best way to explore a shipwreck is by diving down to have a look. Wreck diving is a popular activity around the world as there is so much history to discover and wildlife to spot. Around 40 to 80 crew members lived on board trade ships for about 6 months at a time. Without access to fresh food or clean water, life on board was tough. Treasure haul. One of the oldest and most valuable shipwrecks ever discovered was found off the west coast of Africa. The shipwreck had been a Portuguese ship that set sail in 1533. Around 44,000 copper ingots were discovered at the shipwreck, along with many rare Portuguese coins. Next, let's go a bit inland to Botswana and visit the Chobe River. Botswana is a landlocked country at the heart of southern Africa. Snaking through the landscape of Botswana, the Chobe River attracts huge herds of elephants, hippos, and wildebeest that come to drink and bathe. Around 70% of Botswana is covered by the Kalahari Desert. Room to grow. A baby elephant is just 3 feet tall when it is born, but it will grow to be over 10 feet tall. 130,000. The number of African elephants living in Botswana, the biggest population of African elephants in the world. 460. The number of bird species in Chobe National Park, including birds of prey, vultures, water birds, and seasonal migrating birds. African wild dogs. These painted wolf-like dogs travel up to 30 miles each day to find food. They are social creatures, hunting together in packs of up to 20 dogs. They also share their food and care for their pups as a group. 40,000. The number of muscles in an elephant's trunk, helping it drink, grab food, and make its trumpet call. Up to 100 years. The lifespan of a Nile crocodile, which feeds on fish and any larger prey it can get its teeth into. Animals come from far and wide to bathe in and drink from the deep blue Chobe River, which cuts through the desert landscape. Let's head to South Africa to visit a place I've always wanted to go, Kruger National Park. On the pointed southernmost tip of the African continent is the country of South Africa. There are 20 national parks in South Africa, each giving visitors the chance to get close to amazing animals in their natural habitats. Kruger National Park is one of the largest national parks in the world. 3,000-year-old trees. Native baobab trees can be seen across Africa, and some are thousands of years old. 7,700 square miles. The size of the Kruger National Park, stretching 220 miles from north to south. The watering hole. During the dry season, animals come from miles around to quench their thirst at the watering hole. Sharing water. Big creatures such as hippos, lions, and zebras drink alongside smaller animals like hyenas, sable antelope, ostriches, greater kudus, baboons, and vervet monkeys. Weaver birds, sunbirds, swallows, and hoopoes swoop down to the water from nearby trees. 18 feet, the height of a giraffe, making it the tallest living land animal. 4x4 safari vehicles rumble along the bumpy terrain, letting visitors get right up close to incredible wildlife. On guard, the towering height and sharp vision of a giraffe helps it to keep a lookout for predators like prowling lions and hyenas. Wildlife giants. Elephants, lions, rhinos, leopards, and buffalo can be spotted during safari tours. Swimming with sharks. The South African coast is home to the largest predatory fish in the world, the great white shark. These giant creatures grow to 15 feet long. They have sharp, ragged teeth and a bloodthirsty appetite, yet people choose to dive with them, protected by a strong metal cage. I'm one of those crazy people who would absolutely love to do this. That sounds amazing. Next, we're heading to Madagascar to visit the Madagascan jungle. Located off the southeast coast of Africa, Madagascar is the fourth largest island on the planet. It is home to incredible rainforests and many amazing kinds of wildlife that are found nowhere else on Earth. Native lemurs. Many different kinds of lemur live on the island, such as red-ruffed lemurs, ring-tailed lemurs, and black lemurs. The white silky shifaka lemur, which is one of the rarest mammals on Earth, also makes its home here. 95%. The proportion of reptiles in Madagascar that are endemic, which means they live nowhere else, along with 92% of mammals. With a range of habitats, from lush rainforests to dry desert, Madagascar provides homes for many kinds of animals. Cat-like hunter. The fossa looks like a large, fierce cat, but is a relative of the mongoose. It is only found in Madagascar. Butterfly kingdom. Giant butterflies flit from flower to flower, collecting nectar to eat. Around 300 different species of them. The Madagascar giant swallowtail has an incredible 5.5-inch wide wingspan and is one of over 200 butterflies that are endemic. 70 to 90%. The proportion of wildlife that lives up in the trees above the shaded forest floor. 11,000. The number of endemic plant species that only grow in Madagascar. 615. The number of newly discovered species in Madagascar measured over a 10-year period. And lastly, we're going to head over to Mauritius to visit Grand Bay. Doesn't look like a very nice day at Grand Bay, does it? Mauritius is around 1,200 miles off the southeast coast of Africa, surrounded by the Indian Ocean. In the north of the island is a small fishing village called Grand Bay. When the weather is warmest, between November and April, huge storms called cyclones bring high winds and torrential rain to the beaches here. Land of volcanoes. Mauritius and its nearby islands are part of a chain of volcanic islands that were formed around 10 million years ago. Up to 5. The number of cyclones that sweep past Mauritius each year or every year, causing strong winds, rain, and rough seas. 110 miles. The length of the coastline of Mauritius, with miles of silver-white sandy beaches. Tropical coconut palms grow all over the island, and coconuts are used in many traditional recipes, like creamy curries and coconut sweets. Tailpot palm. Growing up to 80 feet tall, the tailpot palm is one of the largest palm trees in the world. It only flowers once in its life, sometimes bursting into several million small flowers. Usually this happens when the tailpot is between 30 and 80 years old. Tropical wildlife. Beautiful coral reefs surround the island, forming shallow, clear lagoons, which are home to around 400 species of sea creature. Deep sea divers. Humpback whales, sperm whales, bottlenose dolphins, tropical fish, and deep sea fish like tuna and marlin can be spotted around the island, but they stay hidden deep beneath the waves when cyclones hit. And that's it for tonight. Next time we visit this book, we'll visit Asia. There we go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this video relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a very good night.